What's going on, football fans? It's time once again for another rendition of the Pound for Pound. I'm your host, J.R. Clark, and today we're going to be talking about the Week 9. This week we're playing the Dallas Cowboys at home, which is nice. Last 3 weeks we've been on the road, so that's always kind of a tough to have a long stretch on the road. So now we get to play the next, I think it's the next 4 out of our 5 games at home. So that's good. Maybe give us a chance to right some wrongs, I guess you could say. Clean up some effort. Hopefully perform a little bit better. We got an interesting opponent coming in this week, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. They've been on kind of a decent start this year. Their O-line seems to be coming into form, and you got possibly Ezekiel Elliott playing, which should be interesting for us anyway. Maybe we can continue on with this, trying to improve our run defense. Boy, I gotta admit, y'all, I'm not super optimistic about the rest of the season. But as people like to remind me, we're only halfway through. I mean, we're 4-4 through the halfway point, so not the end of the world. But we have to be sharp going forward, and hopefully the team can find its groove, on offense, and kind of tighten up on that third down defense on the defensive side. It's really hard to put a finger on what's really going wrong, to point at, what's really the problem areas. It seems like maybe, Matt Ryan might be pushing it a little too much this year, maybe feeling too much pressure coming off of an MVP season and coming off of a Super Bowl berth. And so might be trying to force it too much. I don't know. I mean, his deep ball seems to be a little off, but it's kind of hard to criticize him when 2 weeks in a row you have dropped open touchdowns. One from Hooper and one from Julio Jones of all people. So, I mean, Julio catches that touchdown, we win the game. Hooper catches that touchdown in New York, and we're over 30 points. And it doesn't look as bad. You see what I'm saying? So, the offense definitely looks out of sync. And I don't know if it's solely a byproduct of Steve Sarkisian not necessarily figuring out his players yet. Not necessarily getting into a flow, I've read some reports and seen some things where, he sat down and had an extensive meeting with Matt Ryan and picked the plays that, Matt Ryan really liked, and so you think he should be comfortable with stuff. So, that makes it sound like it's all on Matt Ryan, which, I mean, hell, it could be. I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. I'm not in that meeting room, you know what I'm saying? But it definitely seems like something is out of sync. I mean, Matt Ryan still, he still ranks 6th according to PFF. I don't know how much y'all put into, the Pro Football Focus people, but, he's still ranked high. So, I mean, other than a couple interceptions that were tipped, he's not really that far off of what he was last year. But it just doesn't look as smooth, does it? It doesn't look as effortlessly as it did at times last year. And that's the part that has me, somewhat concerned. But you're right. I mean, we do need other players to step up. I mean, it can't be just one guy. That's the reason why I enjoy football over any other sport, is because it is a total team effort. Defense, offense, special teams. It's a full effort. In basketball, you can have a LeBron James just take over. And, who dat? Won't you go? Good on you, I guess, but why are you even watching the Falcons channel? Just saying. Anyway, with that being said, yeah, I mean, they definitely need to, to find the rhythm, find what they want to do this year. Quinn wants them to focus on the run more. Well, you got to do some things to set up that, you got to be more confident, I guess you could say. Me, myself, as much as I love our backs, we don't have the, Marshawn Lynch style back, the Carlos Hyde style back. We don't have a pound the rock kind of back. You have to do things to, help that go along, right? With the misdirections and the play actions and things like that. Those are what helped our guys. And it seems like we have forgotten, the aspect of what our guys can do coming out of the backfield. That was some of the things that made it deadly last year. So let's see. Oh, we got some comments coming in now. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we need to, in my opinion, what we're lacking this year is the movement at the line of scrimmage. We're missing a lot of the misdirection plays, the things that set up other things, plays to set up other plays down the line. And we're also, like, you saw it in the Jets game. Matt Ryan was actually, like, navigating the pocket a little bit better, rolling out and things of that nature. That's something that makes an offense deadly. I mean, look at what Seattle does in the sense of what Russell Wilson does. When he's moving, he's not necessarily looking to run. He's just extending the play. I mean, you can only cover a guy for so long, right? That's like their whole offense is based off of him just moving around. So I'm not saying Matt Ryan needs to do that, but you need to do more of that to, open up some plays. I don't necessarily agree with defense being really bad myself. I think they've been, I was hoping they were going to be a little bit better, but if you look at the amount of points that we have given up, we haven't really given up a ton of points like we were doing last year. I mean, last year, if we didn't beat people by 30-some-odd points, then we had no chance. You're holding teams to 20 points and under most of the time. You would hope that, we would be able to at least produce on a certain level, like close to what we had last year. I'm not saying like exactly what we had, because that was close to being historic, with the greatest show on turf as far as points scored. So, but you would think we would be able to score with a little bit more ease. I mean, hell, we have the same players that we did last year on offense, minus Chris Chester and Patrick DeMarco. I mean, I know DeMarco is a great, great fullback, but we didn't. It's not like we used him on every play. I think the bright spot on this team this year is, oh man, it's really hard. It's hard to put on it. Maybe guys just gaining more experience. I mean, you do have a lot of guys who are, maybe experience that sophomore slump. So, on the defensive side, and same thing with like Hooper. I guess Hooper's been like some of the bigger disappointment. I expected him to take a bigger step forward, especially with Sarkisian coming in. His time in college, he used a lot of, 2 and 3 tight end sets, and I figured to see that more. Maybe hopefully towards the end of the season, maybe we can get Salbert in there, taking up a third tight end spot. So, but no, you're right. You can't blame Matt Ryan for everything. The guy's got to catch passes. The guy's got to not tip up passes. But as far as, like his bright spot, somebody just brought up Devondre Campbell. He's playing like a beast. I'm really enjoying seeing his growth this year. And, as a blitzer, as that versatile cog piece that I think Dan Quinn was looking for. So I'm thoroughly impressed with what he's doing. I'm impressed with what the steps that Keanu O'Neal's making. I saw on, again, Pro Football Focus, not that they're the end-all, be-all. They're just a metric and a mini, see a metric. But Keanu O'Neal had a huge game last week. graded out as one of the best safeties of the week. So I'm enjoying seeing his growth. I'm hoping to start seeing, Trufant come round back into form. He's not playing horribly. He's not playing as bad as, a lot of the media people or bloggers or whatever will make it sound like. But he's not playing to the level that we're used to him playing. But you got to remember, he is coming off an injury that shut him down for half a season. Sometimes it takes a little while to get back, for that. Yeah, I really think the Gabriel thing is one of the more, interesting things. Gabriel's the type of player who's amazing, but he needs to be schemed for. He's like a Tavon Austin, a Tyreek Hill. You know what I'm saying? He's almost like a gadget-style player, and Sarkisian right now is not putting in gadget plays. So if he has the production that he continues to have, I don't think you're going to see him on this team next year. Because if you're keeping Sarkisian, right, which all signs point that you're going to keep Sarkisian, whether we like it or not. They didn't fire Shanahan after the first year, and everybody would have willingly drove him to the airport. So, can we beat the Cowboys? Yes, we can beat the Cowboys if we show up and play. You know what I'm saying? That's the key. If we show up and play, and we play to our potential, we can beat the Cowboys. Now the question is, are we going to show up and play? Are we going to play to our potential? That's going to be the interesting thing. Is can our defense bring the run stopping that they did in the Jets, in the Jets game, and also in the Buffalo game. Those were some of the better run stopping performances that we had this year. Can we bring that kind of run stop? If we can bring that kind of run stop and put it all on Prescott, then maybe we got a shot. Yeah, that Bennett thing is really interesting. If we could pick him up off of waivers or whatever, I would do that in a heartbeat. If nothing else, just for some veteran presence in that room. For a guy who has done it. You know what I'm saying? Because if nothing else, I think, in a way, I almost think it was a mistake not to bring back Tammy. Talent-wise, is Hooper better? Yes, talent-wise, but not right now, I still think he could have benefited from having somebody else to show him the way, so to speak. Yeah, no, you're right. I think Sark's upside is good enough to keep around. I really do. Yes, DQ is loyal to his guy, and I don't blame him for that. But also, you got to remember, this is the first time Sark's ever called NFL games. So this is a learning curve for him as well. I think if you have the same performance this year or next year that you do out of this year, then yeah, you got to get rid of him. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A bipolar team, for sure. It's almost like they're playing to the level of the competition in a sense. Like you put them on primetime against Green Bay, boom, they look awesome. You put them up against, the Bills, not so much. The Panthers, not so much. The Jets game was kind of an oddity. It's just been a real weird season all the way around. I mean, you have the Jets lose to us, but then turn around and dominate the Bills, who beat us. So this has just been a real weird year so far. I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out. But as far as this game coming up, I believe we can beat them. All right, guys. It looks like I might be having connection issues, so I'm going to go ahead and finish